and it didn't get on the agenda, but I had said that I wanted to work with them on figuring out a path forward. So the three of us met, and out of that meeting came two different pieces. One is the resolution that they brought forward and that they modified, and then the ordinance that I brought forward, both really with a similar goal of trying to find a solution for filling that seat, but two different ways of doing it. And so at the last meeting, we decided to postpone their resolution so that we could talk about both of these options. And the next week there'll be a work session where we'll bring them both up and have a full conversation about what we think is the best path forward. And I think Sand Lake Community Council is going to also have a special meeting to discuss it as well. And my hope is that regardless of how we do it, we figure out a way to do it. But I think that there's differing beliefs in terms of what's important. For instance, some folks are really wanting there to be a vote as opposed to an appointment. And other folks want to work on changing the charter as opposed to the code. And so there's just a variety of different ideas about how to do it. But right now, the next step is we'll do a work session next week, and we'll kind of put all of the stuff on the table and hopefully have a really good conversation about what's the best path forward.
So just as kind of a point of question, is your opinion is that the seat is actually open right now?
Well, so that's an interesting question. The legal advice that I have been given is that based on the way that the charter is set, which is a closed definition, so that it is not considered to be vacant at this point. So it's sort of the example I used and the other day was like it's a teacher who's out of their spot and so they still so Austin Quinn-Davidson still holds that seat, but so it's not vacant, which is a weird definition. So it doesn't count as a vacancy. But the truth is, there's no one there. There's no one there to vote. There's no one there to represent the people of West Anchorage. And so I think it's a bit of a legal quandary.
Yeah, I would say that, if that's the way that the law is being read, right, is that
right.
It's not really open because acting Mayor Austin Quinn-Davidson is holding that seat E again still,
right. Yep.
Then in fact, that might be also a little bit of a violation because you can't hold the mayor's seat and an assembly seat at the same time.
Yeah, well, that's logical. I mean, that's I think logical, and I think that the issue we find ourselves in is that our current charter doesn't speak to it one way or the other. It doesn't say one way or the other, and so I think that opens it up to legal interpretation. And I would agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. How could it be not vacant and vacant? Right? How can she hold two seats at the same time?
It seems like the administration has to choose one way or the other. And to me, either way, right? When I read section 4.01 of Article 2, in there, that discusses whether or not the seat is actually vacant. And it says that you have to meet the qualifications. And, the main qualification of an assembly member is to represent their district and be present in voting. So I would say that in my humble opinion, that's not being done at this time. So then we're left with the question of, well, how do we fill that? And the choices are either a vote by the electorate of Sand Lake or appointment. And when you look at Article 7.02, filling vacancies, for the assembly seat, if it's vacant in the first 60 days, it can be an appointment by the assembly body.
Right.
However, since that 60 days has passed, then it should be filled at the next regular election. And anyway, I had put this up on my website if you desired to visit it. It's the first article on 1776alaska.org. I had put some of this language, and I had spoke to it as well in the initial audience participation last time. I will be attending the meeting at the community council, so I hope that I'll see you there.
Good. Yeah. No, I'll be there, and it'll, it also relates to Turnagain and Spenard, and somewhat to North Star. So all of those community councils are involved, and so I'll be communicating with all of them too. And I would just say to you that I think that that I agree that I would prefer that someone is voted in as opposed to appointed in, first. And second, I would prefer that it not remain empty, whatever methodology we can get somebody in there. And so what I'm trying to do is navigate through the current, the current code, the current charter, the current administration, and seeing if I can sort of find a way to both get this solved now, but also address the long-term issues if this were to happen again. So
absolutely, because it seems from the outside looking in, right, is that the hope of acting Mayor Quinn-Davidson is that the time lapses between now and July when a new mayor takes the office, be it whoever it ends up being, and that she's then able to step back into that role after having held the acting mayor position for 8 or 9 months.
Absolutely, that is the hope and the intention of I think all of us at this point. I don't think there's any intention of replacing her. I believe, I can't speak for her, but I believe she would have never taken on the temporary mayor role if there was a threat of her losing her assembly seat, because I don't get the impression that she has any sort of desire to be mayor. So.
Understood. All right, well then I'll look forward to seeing you hopefully at the Sand Lake special meeting with regards to this District 3 CE being filled and what the manner and methodology will be for that.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the call.
Thank you, Cameron. Have a blessed day.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye. That concludes call with Cameron Perez-Verdia. Today's date is January 15th, year of our Lord 2021. Approximate time is 12:46 Alaska Christian time. Conclude transmission.